nothing stays the same. Across the shore, the tide has changed, leaving me the pain, but love.
Hello, and here we are with yet another Infinite Human visionary in our Infinite Human series, and we are in Piazza Santa Maria Novella with our specialists in organic building, Miranel de Wild.
Thank you. My vision for the future in building is the same as my vision for the future of the world in a way, and the future of humanity. And I really see us more and more breaking down the taboos. Every revolution that society has gone through has been throwing out taboos from the past and opening new possibilities. For example, in building, we are more and more open to live in earth houses made from recycled material, from using waste materials, garbage created houses. There's even a popular hotel in Spain completely made of garbage picked up from Europe's beaches, and it's sold out its first months of residences. There was a time in recent history when everything about building was to live in a new, nice, neat, spick and span place, but those ideas are being thrown out as we more and more become conscious of our relationship with the planet, our relationship with the earth, and how we can actually have a more interactive experience, a living experience with the earth and our environment if we take it into account into how we build. There's also a famous Iranian architect who's making earth houses from coiling sandbags, and he makes very beautiful organic domes in this way. And again, in a way, it's like we're going backwards, because it's what peasants used to build from, and poor people would build from the earth. But now it's a resurgence of this kind of building, because the taboo about poverty is broken down. We're actually living in a society of abundance, so we can afford to use cheap materials because it's not a status symbol anymore. And so the taboo of status and wealth gets broken down because of the abundance that, at least in the Western world, we begin to live in. We get to build from hemp again, and that was a material which was used very much in the Industrial Revolution, and then it went out. But recently I installed a hemp insulation in a farm in Scandinavia, and it's a much nicer material to work with. It lasts longer than the industrial equivalents, and of course it's environmentally sustainable. And these are the kinds of things I see for the future. The taboo that everything has to be square and like living in a box is also going out. And we had very early pioneers like Gaudi in Barcelona, who experimented with organic design. But now, as we're also experimenting with organic materials, we intuitively and naturally feel more the natural shapes to make houses in curves, domes, and working with straw, clay. It gives a lot more freedom, and people are discovering that it actually is more ergonomic. The human body is curved, and the environment, the nature is all curved, and for the human mind to be in peace, it often helps to have shadows falling in curvy shapes from the window and through round windows and this kind of thing. And it's also affecting how people think and how people deal with the stress of modern life, to live in more natural shapes. And I think that's a trend which will catch on more and more. And even in larger projects that are combining these kinds of ideas with huge technological building techniques, the advanced technological building techniques. One example is the tallest building in the world, the Burj Dubai, which is still under construction. And the whole building is made in organic, kind of multifaceted curving shapes. It's an engineering aspect to deal with the high winds in high altitude, but it also gives the whole building a sort of a more organic, almost like an anthill kind of feeling. And so even in very large projects, these kinds of ideas are catching on. So my vision for the future in building is a harmonious combination between the latest advances in modern technology and the ancient wisdom, which was intuitively and naturally in harmony and with the earth and sustainable. And in that way we see the advances in hemp cultivation and earth building, which also meets the modern standards of living and comfort and light and air that we like in modern buildings. And I also see that the advances in building, in the future in building, will take into account aspects which science are just starting to discover, and that's with the energy structures of the earth. And in ancient times, people like the Druids would take into account ley lines, energy lines, and they would build stone circles to harness and focus the natural subtle energy of the earth. And now in modern times also, in certain circles, people are taking this into account. Iceland is a classic place where they are building roads to take into account where the fairies and the gnomes are living, and they'll actually make a highway go around a gnome or troll's little den, because they've had experiences that though that road will be prone to accidents if you build it out of harmony with the natural energy and even the subtle entities which are existing in those places. And I think as science progressively discovers and conquers these frontiers of human knowledge about subtle energy, both of the planet, the environment, and the human being, also the buildings will naturally follow suit. That's of course in the next generations. Our generation is still very young in this knowledge, but those are the frontiers of consciousness which we are conquering today.
That was amazing. Wow, that was very inspiring. I am really motivated. And thank you so much for appearing on our show. Till next time. Arrivederci.